Welcome back to What I Saw in 2021 Part 4. Let's catch up on everything we've been a little behind on.
As Vegas was walled off, with the zombies left inside to haunt the abandoned city.
Mr. Ward.
Army of the Dead is a great example of my feelings towards Zack Snyder's work. Interesting ideas, poor to low effort execution. It's a movie that pushes logic aside because things just have to look cool to be good, right? Which is clearly not the case. A heist taking place in a Vegas casino during a zombie apocalypse sounds fun. An ensemble cast of action heroes getting into gunfights with intelligent undead creatures is fun. So why does this movie fall so flat a lot of the time? Firstly, the positives. The concept, like I said. The action is mostly engaging and intense, and the horror elements are built up well too. The music is usually entertaining and not too on the nose, the makeup and zombie designs are excellent, and there are a lot of things brought up for Snyder's breed of zombies. We have them living in some form of social hierarchy and emotions to an extent, sun-dried bodies that can reanimate when it rains, there's even a couple of robot zombies, but those things are kind of what bring the movie down. So what are these issues? Army of the Dead, aka Chekhov's Zombies, is full of behaviors and elements that have no bearing in the story. Rain zombies? We see a pile of crispy dead boys, but it's a throwaway line cause it never rains. Robot zombies? No one brings it up and the film doesn't do anything to expand. The intimate zombie relationships and community? More of a plot device and never really used to garner sympathy in some form. They also talk about how zombies hibernate. Except for the thousands that don't. Do they take turns? They also mention zombies are attracted to warm flesh, not specifically human flesh. That would be interesting if the fact that the zombies aren't in the middle of a desert in the sun all day, yet aren't attacking each other all the time. Not to mention the giant buzzsaw that keeps getting brought up to remind the audience it still exists, but outside the really good opening credits, the team only uses the saw to cut a hole in a wall. And then leave it, I guess. I don't care if these zombie elements will become relevant in later parts of the series. If they're not relevant now, don't bring them up and make your movie longer than it has to be. Because the film didn't need to be 2.5 hours long. On top of empty potential, characters just do dumb and ridiculous things. Every decision has to be the complicated or unnecessary version of the plan. There's a reveal that a member of the team is only there to get zombie DNA, and not actually interested in the money at all. They get a zombie head when they're separated from the group, and instead of just leaving the area since they're right by the door they came in from, they go back and join the group they have no interest in helping. Characters have emotional speeches in the middle of sequences where time is of the essence, relationship developments are made hastily because a death is about to happen, and instead of establishing things earlier and more natural, you gotta do it at the last second. Also, Batista Jr. gets everyone killed, including the person she made a big deal about saving in the first place. Long story short, Army of the Dead is what happens when you let someone do whatever they want, and at no point tell them to clean up or streamline the story. Don't put all your cards on the table if there's more to come, especially if they're Uno cards and we're in the middle of playing 21. We can play Uno after, but let's finish our game first. The winner of Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress of the 93rd Oscars, Nomadland is a drama following a woman who becomes a van dweller after the small town of Empire, Nevada effectively shuts down. Now she travels across the country looking for work and meeting all kinds of people along the way. Directed and written by Chloe Zhao, based on the book Nomadland, Surviving America in the 21st Century. Although this wouldn't have gotten my personal pick as Best Picture, I can't put up much of an argument for people who did choose it. Every aspect of the movie is handled with skill and well-thought execution. With a strongly character-driven narrative to the point where there's not much of an overarching story, these characters, and actual real people, show you a world you may not realize is as populated and as common as you thought or even knew existed. It's a much more calm and slower film than I usually watch, and the director is able to bring you in and keep you interested in this world, which is really just our own, and pull emotions out through the music, quiet moments, beautiful cinematography, and perfectly timed editing. The concept is fascinating in and of itself, and the relationships Fern makes on her journey are so natural, you gain a sense of camaraderie and might even get a little sad when she has to say goodbye to them as time goes on. But like the movie says, the nomad lifestyle teaches you, goodbyes aren't final, and they promise to see each other down the road.
And I do. I see them again. And I can be certain in my heart, I'll see you again.
Raya and the Last Dragon is the new 3D animated blockbuster by the house that Mouse built. After an evil stone morphing force wreaks havoc across the land, Raya goes on a quest to find the broken pieces of the Dragon Gem, to find the last dragon and heal the world back to how it was. Co-directed by Don Hall and Carlos Lopez Estrada, and written by Key Nguyen and Adele Lim. To get out of the way, of course this movie is animated beautifully. That just kinda comes with the territory when discussing Disney, but the standout in the animation isn't the variety of character designs or detailed locations, lighting, and VFX, but it's in the action. This is some of the smoothest fight choreography I've seen from their animation studio. Soul has a loose and cartoony way of moving, but Raya has a sense of control and agility, while also exaggerating enough to balance reality and animation. The characters are overall enjoyable and not as grating as I was expecting. I was prepared to feel the dragon Sisu would be overused and force comedic moments trying to capture the genie's presence, but Awkwafina plays the role very entertainingly. The side characters also had the potential to overstay their welcome, but the story focuses on what it needs to and never strays too far away, while balancing the emotional and comedic moments naturally. However, the balance has one major issue. The main theme of the story is learning to trust others, even if they wronged you in the past. Trust is what helps you heal, taking the first step and all that jazz. The problem I have with this is that the movie treats Raya as if she's in the wrong for not trusting the main antagonist Namari. Sure, Raya's lack of trust as an adult will keep her from growing, and it does cause problems later in the finale, but the movie kinda downplays what Namari did in the first place. The audience may know Namari has guilt to an extent, but Raya is completely justified in her reluctance to ever trust her or forgive her. This is hammered in with Sisu basically blindingly trusting whoever comes up to her, and even if she's betrayed or gets into trouble, there's never any problems that aren't solved within seconds, which only reinforces blind trust over reserved skepticism. The movie tries to compare Sisu's reasoning for trusting everyone because of her siblings' faith in her. The problem is you can't really compare loving family relationships to literal end of the world and destruction of your home backstabbing that Raya had that closed off her emotionally. I understand what the movie is going for. I don't inherently dislike the moral. It's good to teach the willingness to trust others, but maybe don't act like the main character is being overprotective when they're actually fairly reasonable. I still like the movie overall and would suggest it. Maybe the moral doesn't bother you as much as it did me.
You should have listened to that one little feeling. Just like I'm listening to you now. You can talk to me. I'm all a friend you got.
The Little Things is a neo-noir crime thriller taking place in 1990s Los Angeles, where a serial killer is on the loose. When leads are turning up empty, the head detective reaches out to a veteran of the game to help solve the case. Written and directed by John Lee Hancock. When you have Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto, depending on the day, with a premise like this, you'd expect some magic to happen. Well, sometimes it does, but other times not so much. Denzel can give you a grizzled, worn-out detective feel for sure when he doesn't sound like he's about to fall asleep. Rami Malek can bring the desperation a man who feels like his career depends on this case, even though most of the time it sounds like he's about to cry, even in scenes where the conversation isn't that intense. Jared Leto's kinda doing his own thing, and he does what he's paid to do. The direction with the camera and lighting isn't too bad. I don't recall a whole lot that pulled me toward the screen, but I appreciate the timing of cuts, music, and pacing in scenes where it feels like time is running out. I also think the story is fine, though a little dry. Certain character payoffs can feel worth the wait, while others feel like it kinda didn't go as far as it should. If you were interested in this film, maybe seek it out. If not, I don't think this is the modern noir film to bring back or redefine the genre.
It's the little things that rip you apart. It's the little things that get you caught.
It's okay, baby. It's okay. Mom. Yeah.
A Quiet Place Part 2 is a sequel to the breakout horror film from 2018. Immediately following the events of the first film, the Abbott family leave the farmhouse to find a new shelter, while still having to sneak their way through the land without making a sound. Horror movie sequels are up there in genres that have a pretty abysmal ratio to good and bad sequels. Ironically, they also tend to have the most sequels no matter how bad some of the franchises get. I'm happy to say that A Quiet Place Part 2 is not only considered a good horror sequel, it's a great sequel in general. It does everything an extension to a film series should do: explore and expand the world, change up the dynamics, add interesting characters, develop and evolve the characters we already know, and feel like a necessary addition that could lead to an even better continuation. With the acting relying on a lot of facial expressions and once in a while letting the actors speak, the performances are through the roof. The story flows so smoothly into the sequel, you can honestly watch both movies back to back and just feel like a 3-hour movie. Letting the kids have a bigger focus and growth this time around was a fantastic choice. And having new guy Emmett replace the father slot in the film doesn't feel forced or have that awkward just filling in and replacing a character kind of vibe. One of my favorite aspects of the film is the editing and timing. Throughout multiple tense set pieces, especially the climax, the use of a lot of intercutting where characters may be separated but connected in some form or the other, whether it's through their actions or helping each other out while in two faraway places. The film half teases a third installment, and I'm all for it if it's as good as this outing. A Quiet Place as a concept is really fun, and maybe one of those series that is fun to joke about the small nitpicks, but while you're sitting there watching it, it's a lot of fun and great character development. Check it out as soon as you can.
The people that are left, they're not the kind of people worth saving.
That wraps it up for part 4. Stay tuned for part 5, hopefully coming out relatively soon. Till next time.